thank you very much, everyone, for attending this webinar. It was a fantastic introduction made by Patrick and a great presentation already made by Giacomo. I think that paging gateway M400 will have its own market, and there are applications waiting for it. So be creative also around that. Now let's go into the second session that we planned for you guys, which is going to be about the Exstreamer MPA400. And the Exstreamer MPA400, as Patrick already mentioned, was announced already last year, but we will release it only starting by April. We should be able to ship it by April. We are very close to finalize the first production batch for it, and we cannot wait to send it over to you. Now, the Exstreamer I switched the wrong one. The Exstreamer MPA400 is part of the Exstreamer 4XX family, which is the IP audio decoder line where we already have the Exstreamer M400, the IP audio decoder with a line level output over RCA connectors, the IP-former TPA400, IP audio decoding amplifier with a 5 watt RMS into a loudspeaker from 2 to 8 ohms, powered by a PoE or PoE+. And the last one coming soon is the Exstreamer MPA400, the IP audio decoder amplifier with an increased output wattage, which allows us to drive a loudspeaker up to 40 watts RMS. And it can be a 2 to 8 ohm loudspeaker, supporting different PoE standards. All the Exstreamer 4XX family, so these products are shipped with the IP audio client firmware, as Giacomo already showed you for the paging, not for the paging gateway, but for the IC paging running on an IP former. The Exstreamer MPA400 comes in a larger format, but always robust case, following the Barix tradition. Here you can see the measures. The MPA400 is bigger than an Exstreamer M400. It is 12.5 centimeters long, 10 centimeters wide, and 38 millimeters high. On the front panel, you find the usual status LEDs, the headphone output connection, the 2 USB interfaces, and our reset button. On the back panel, we have the speaker connection, a predisposition for a microphone. We have the network port, a fast Ethernet port, and eventually the power connector. And here is where the main difference is between the IP former and the MPA400, the way it deals with power. The MPA400 supports up to 4 different PoE standards, and we can see them better in this slide. The 4 different PoE standards that are released officially up to now by the IEEE agency and described very well in these working groups are essentially divided by the amount of power they deal with. And in this table, we can exactly see the power delivered by each PoE standard, by the power source equipment, this is a switch, and the power available at the powered device, which is our MPA400 in this case, or any other PoE devices. So starting from the PoE first version, the 802.3 AF or AT type 1, we can have up to 12.95 watts available at the powered device. Going to the last standard released, which allow us to have up to 71 watts. So this is very useful for equipment that requires a more demanding wattage, like our MPA400, or security cameras, any kind of other device that requires a higher wattage to be handled. This is very important because in the MPA400, we have an automatic PoE detection and impedance measurement system. The two things combined allow the MPA400 to automatically set the output wattage. Thus, depending on the PoE format, the PoE standard that your switch is supporting, you will have a higher or a less higher or a lower, less higher, output wattage from the MPA400. At the same time, using this kind of configuration allows you to have, in our MPA400 specific case, the possibility to reach the maximum output of 40 watts RMS into a 4 ohm load. We support also loads starting from 2 up to 8. So you can also have a speaker with 6 ohm, 8 ohms, 2 ohms. And the PoE++ with these standards, with PoE++ and the 4P-PoE. Or if you use an external power supply unit. With all this power, it's also easy for this IP audio decoder amplifier to drive multiple loudspeakers, for example, wired up in parallel, where you will have an equal power distribution across all the loudspeakers. Or depending on the impedance of each loudspeaker, you can make your own custom configurations. But this is unlike the IP former, where you have 5 watts, let's say only because it's a smaller brother. Here you have a more appropriate amplifier to drive even multiple loudspeakers wired at its output. The firmware it comes with, IP audio client. Some of you might have been already using it. I really hope so. But just to give you a quick overview, IP audio client is a firmware super flexible. It is capable of dealing with up to 5 layer levels. So you have a multi-layer hierarchy here, starting from the top one, the most important, where we assign the number of 1, up to the number 5, which is the least important one. And each box, each layer can be configured to interface with a different protocol or system. You can see an example here. We have Informacast, which is a mass emergency notification platform. Synapse, another mass emergency notification platform. We have SIP. It is also running a SIP client. We have local files that can be triggered by a network. These are files stored on the device and that can be triggered to play out. Or we have Barix Radio. On top of this, we have also some other sources, which I will show you later during the quick presentation demonstration. Oh, well, they are listed also here. On top of Informacast and Synapse, we have simple paging and IC paging. Simple paging is not yet available in the current published released firmware, but it will be available very soon. The new firmware is coming out of IP audio client. IC paging is already supported, as Giacomo also shown. We have USB playback for those devices part of the family that have a USB interface. SIP client, supporting the latest security standards in SIP, which are Secure SIP and Secure RTP. Network triggered local files. We support streaming over HTTP or HTTPS. And RTP with 2 different modes, low latency and regular, where regular allows you to maintain a synchronized playout across different devices installed in the same network. This is quite important and cool, let me say, and I will show you later why, and you will hear also this synchronization. At the same time, IP audio client is running in an exclusive mode, AES67. So when you set your device to run in AES67 mode, you will not have the multi-layer approach priority solution of the standard mode, but you have an AES67 endpoint capable to receive audio from any other AES67 compliant system. For example, Dante, QLAN, Livewire, and Ravenna. OEM of this device is highly welcome. We already made some OEM implementations. This is an example that you see on the screen. This was for USSI Hyperspike. and they have this Encompass controller where we have our MPA400 built in as an OEM platform, handling and dealing with speakers installed in the network, where in each speaker we have our MPA400 installed and deployed. Just to give you a nicer shot, this is the Hyperspike. ultrahyperspike.com is the website. So if you want to also know more of these guys, you are free to go there. We OEM'd the product for them. The MPA400 is available with this part number 2020.9317P, where the P stands for Made in Portugal. So this is coming from EU. And the product name, this is the package it comes with. The price you will find on the price list is related to minimum amount of one package or 12 units. If you need only one or two, the price is a bit higher, just slightly higher. And as we said, this will be available starting from Q2 2022. So we really hope to be able to ship this to you in April, starting from April. Where you can find support for the product, you can always go into our help section, help.barix.com, where we unified the support pages of all the products into one single area. In fact, you can scroll down the list, you will find all the products. You already noticed that we have the Exstreamer 4XX dock. So the MPA400 will be available in this section right here, including IP400 and Exstreamer M400. For other support, these are the guys to contact, to get in touch with. Technical support at support@barix.com. For sales, OEM requests, or any other feature requests, sales@barix.com. Or if you have a project, pre-sales@barix.com to discuss your requirements and design the solution for you. Now, I think this was the last slide. Yes, so let me just go quickly into a quick presentation here. So I am as well, just like Giacomo, in my home office. On the desk, I have my devices. So I want to show them to you a bit closer. And here we go. We have the MPA400. You can see now it's connected to this 20-watt loudspeaker here. The connections are super straightforward and simple. Cable is going directly with the plus and minus into the speaker. The PoE is connected to my switch. This is a PoE plus capable switch. And on the front panel, the interface is available. Now, let's go quickly into the configuration section of the IP400, of the IP audio client for the MPA400. As usual, we have the network settings available for configuring the device. What is different from the other IP audio client devices is that for the MPA, you can see here we have a power source and speaker settings. When for power source, we can decide to set manually the type of power supply available among all the different PoE standards mentioned, or the external power. If you don't want to deal with this, you just leave it to PoE auto, and when the negotiation between the device and the switch happens, the device will set automatically the voltage output that will be released into the amplifier. And also for the speaker configuration, you can set it manually or in automatic mode. If you go into the system status here, we have a new section available, which is power source and speaker. And you can see the automatic detection of the impedance of the speaker, plus the amplifier gain applied according to the PoE source available in this case, or to the one manually selected in the settings page. Now, for this presentation, I wanted to have a quick round on this RTP regular mode, and I just want to show you also the SIP client running. But on top of this, you can see the 5 boxes, the 5 multi-layer priorities, and the selection. Oh, you don't see the selection menu here on the preview, I think, but we have all the other sources available from this drop-down menu. So you can set your sources according to whatever you need in this priority layer to be played. Of course, the layers with the most important priority, thus 1, will always play on top of the others. So the example I have here in this case is that my SIP client has priority over the RTP. And in this example, always related to the RTP, what am I using here? I'm using this multicast address. And this address is coming from my retail player device. Also, just a quick word about the retail player. Starting from firmware 6.6, which was released a few weeks ago, we have this RTP forwarding functionality. So you already know that Retail Player is our remotely cloud-based managed platform for distributing music across the world. And if you go into the portal, it's a cloud-based managed service. You can change the streaming channel that they're playing on the unit. We have automations where you can set the schedulers to automatically switch music, or the assets, where you can basically schedule announcements, advertisements, and so on. So this will not be about Retail Player, but just to tell you that the Retail Player, with this new RTP forwarding capability, can rebroadcast the traffic over an RTP address. In this case, this is the multicast address I'm using, and it is the one configured on IP audio client. So currently, my IP audio client on the MPA400 is running the audio of the Retail Player. I can also check that here in the speaker status. On top of this, I also have another device in my network. So let me switch again to this. I have an IP former connected to another speaker. The two devices can be identified between each other from the remote config tool. So if you have multiple devices in the network, you don't have to deal with the configuration on each one device, but you can configure them in mass using the remote config tool. And you can see that at the moment they are both playing my RTP stream from the Retail Player. Now, what I want you to hear is the synchronization playing this RTP stream. So I will open up my other microphone. You see that I have a microphone here. This is your ear into my room. And it's a very high quality microphone, so I expect you hear nice music from it. Let me open it. Now the music is a bit low, so I will increase the volume. And let me put it to 60. So when I press save, you will hear the music rising. Now, I'm going to direct also the other speaker towards the microphone so you can hear the music. So I hope you can hear the synchronization. Let me close again your ear in my room. And let me switch back to the scene here and lower the volume again. So we have, let's put it to 10 and to 10. Okay, perfect. So I hope you could hear the synchronization. The music was perfectly synchronized. The music will maintain the synchronization even after a reboot, even after our streaming disconnection, maybe a brief stream disconnection. It will keep the synchronization even after an application restart, because when we modify any source in IP audio client and I click on submit, the application restarts. So it will need to synchronize again. This was an example. Another playback mode we have on IP audio client is low latency. So what is the difference between regular and low latency? Is the buffer size used to maintain the delay constant across different speakers. Using the RTP information contained in the packets, we can see timestamps, sequence, so we can get a constant playout using this information processed by our IP audio client. In low latency instead, we target for the maximum performances in terms of end-to-end delay. So with low latency, you can have a delay of 150 milliseconds. With regular, end-to-end, I mean, regular, it's 5 seconds. So regular must not be used for low latency applications. For like, if you have an any-to-all device on a PS1 and you want to call with the regular mode, don't do that. It's not made for that. It's made for background music mainly. So this specific application I just shown you is perfect for regular. And if you think about it, if you have like IP formers or MPA400s, like 100 of them installed in a mall, you can use the retail player for the announcements, advertisements, scheduling, for changing the music type during the week, rebroadcasting traffic to all the MPA400s or IP formers, even Exstreamer M400, because they all run the same firmware. I hope that was clear. And just to give you another quick demonstration about SIP, here in my network, I have my PBX server running, which is based on free PBX. I have my devices registered here. And my SIP client in this case is, let me show it to you, this PS1 device. Very easy to configure it. You just need to enter your username and password. It will register and it's ready to call whatever you specify in this field. So input 0, call ID. In this case, I will call my MPA400. On the MPA400, the SIP client configuration is quite straightforward. Username and password, and the transport and security protocol, something that was not present in our legacy devices, the old Exstreamer family or the old Annuncicom family.
You're showing the demo table.
Sorry? Oh,
You're
sorry.
showing the demo table.
Thank you, Reto. Thank you. Yeah. So I was saying, I was just showing you the PBX. This is the PBX devices I registered into. The SIP client running on the Annuncicom PS1 device, the configuration field where I set who to call when I press the button. In this case, 509 is my MPA400, and the SIP client configuration on my MPA400, where we can see the latest protocols support for the transport and security. So TLS or even TLS plus SRTP, which encrypts not only the negotiation of SIP, but also the media traffic sent over RTP. And let me give you a quick demonstration also about this. I will switch again here, the scene, open up the other microphone and raise the volume of my MPA400. And I'm going to call the device. Let me mute this microphone, my lavalier. Hello? You can hear? This is my voice played out from the MPA400. Hello, hello, hello.
Works perfect.
And now I will open back my lavalier. And that's it. So this was essentially what I wanted to show you. Again, the IP audio client, oh, let me close the SIP call. I don't know if you noticed, but also the switching time between the higher priority source and the lower one is fast, very fast. So when you need it for paging, this is a proper way to go if you want to do SIP paging, for example. Okay, so this was basically it.